Hey guys, Brenda Lynn here. Haven't seen you guys in a while, but I decided to do a video tonight about dehydrating. Got some herbs I need to dehydrate. It's getting kind of at the end of the season, and I thought I'd just show you kind of my process in dehydrating and how I do that kind of stuff. So come on into my garden. Okay. So tonight we're going to be taking some of these basil leaves. As you can see, it's getting pretty bushy and big, and we're getting kind of towards the end of our growing season here. So if I was to just leave these here in a couple of months, they would just all die. So I am going to preserve this basil for the winter time, so I'll have fresh basil come December and January when we're cooking all those good meals. So a couple ways you can do this is, I usually get a couple grandkids to help me is what I do. You can just pick off the large leaves and throw them in anything that you have.
It smells really good.
You also can cut them if you want to, but actually I really find that it's just as easy just to pick the big leaves off. So we're gonna pick a pretty good basket full of the big basil leaves. Oh, it smells so good. The basil leaves, and then we're going to take them in the house and I will show you how I dehydrate them. Okay, so as you can see, we have a basket full of basil. Oh, if you guys could smell it, it smells so good. So I just want to talk a little bit about the dehydrator that I chose to get. I actually did a little research, and the top dehydrator was the Excalibur. And I looked at the Excalibur, and it was, I don't know, $250, $260, something like that. And I really liked the Excalibur. The one thing I really liked about the Excalibur versus this Cabela's is the Excalibur has, the trays are metal, and in this they're plastic. That's the only thing that I didn't like about this one. But I chose the Cabela's because the Cabela dehydrator goes down to 85 degrees. And you need it to go down to about 80, 85 degrees in order to do herbs. Anything else, it's too hot. So while the Excalibur is number one, it did not go down to 85 degrees. So it does not do herbs very well, and I had planned on doing a lot of herbs. So I chose the Cabela's, and as you can see, it's got a lot of trays. I think there's 12. Yeah, 12 trays in there. So this basil right here is about going to fill up this whole dehydrator. And as you can tell, it's just plastic trays. So we are going to, oops, wrong way. We are going to rinse the basil. Although I don't use any pesticides in the garden, I still like to give them a good rinsing. So we're going to go to the sink and rinse these. We're gonna get these dried up and then we'll be right back. Okay, so we've washed our basil and now we're gonna put it on the trays. So we're gonna just lay the basil out on the trays like this. Make sure you kind of don't crowd them. Okay, so we've got all our trays done, as you can see. And the first time I ever did this, I laid all my basil shiny side up and perfectly placed, and I realized it doesn't really matter whether it's upside down or flipped over. It doesn't matter as long as they're spaced apart and you've got air between them. Okay, so we've got our trays in here, and this is so easy to use. So I think that actually made 9 trays. So I actually could have picked, or 8 trays. I actually could have picked some more and kept on going, but we'll just stop there because I'll have to do some more tomorrow. So this dehydrator is very easy to use. Okay, all you do is turn it on and you pick your time. And because I've done this before, I know that it takes about 12 hours. So you change it, put it on 12, hit time again, and then temperature. And it's 85 degrees for just about all herbs. So I've got it on 85 degrees, and you hit the temperature button again, and that's it. And I like to do it at night because it can be a little bit loud. Almost sounds like a big box fan. Not too bad, but if you're trying to watch TV, it is a little bit loud. So I'll put this in tonight, and tomorrow I will show you how I crumble them and how I store them and what I put in the jars to keep them good for a long time. So for now, I'll continue this video tomorrow. Good morning, we are back, and actually I think the basil ended up taking about 15 hours in the dehydrator. So I think I put it on for 12 and then I added a few. Sometimes it makes a difference if it's really hot and humid, it takes a little bit longer because the air's got a lot of moisture in it too. So anyway, so here's our done product. And as you can see, they're just all dry. And what I do is I like this little gadget here. I'm not sure what it's called. My husband got it for me in Alaska. And it works really well for doing herbs. I'll do a little bit more and show you. Okay, so there's another tray. And a lot of times if you open it up and the leaves still feel a little moist, just put it back on for a little bit longer. Different altitudes matter, different temperatures in the day kind of matter. So there I've got some basil in there, and I'm just gonna take my little chopping tool because it just works really well. You also can use your hand when it's that dry. Just crumple it up in a bowl, or I actually can use my hand too. Okay. Actually good because it breaks up the big leaves. You smell that. And like I said, I really feel like using the dehydrator, you still get a lot of the smell and the flavor in your herbs. I've tried hanging them up to dry. And maybe I'm not doing it right, but they don't come out green, and they don't seem to have as much flavor. It's like it's lost in the air or something. So I'll get down to about that far, and then I'll just chop it up. You may want to preserve a jar that's got larger pieces. You know, maybe you're gonna throw them in soups or spaghetti, or you can chop them up real fine to put them in a sprinkle bottle to sprinkle seasonings. I don't do them really fine. I'll show you the jars that I have. Now, recently, because of this pandemic, canning supplies are really hard to find. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but when you go to the store, it's hard to find pectin, it's hard to find jars, it's hard to find lids. So what I do when I'm dehydrating really anything is I try to recycle old jars. Like if you have a mayonnaise jar or spaghetti jar, something that's glass, wash those out and save them, and that way you don't use your canning jars for dehydrating, and you save your canning jars for canning, because they're, like I said, they're a very pricey commodity if you do find them, and they're very hard to find. I actually had a friend one day shoot me a picture at Walmart. The shelves were lined with canning jars. I left my house, got to Walmart 20 minutes later, and there was nothing on the shelf. So. Dehydrators, it took a little bit longer to get my dehydrator just because everybody's thinking about more food storage during this pandemic. If you're like me, back in March when the pandemic hit, you go to the store and things were gone. So it made people start thinking about being more self-sufficient and growing their own things and canning them for the winter. So I've done tomatoes, I've done onions, I've done, this is basil, you can do just about anything in a dehydrator. So that's going to be a pretty good size right there. I use it a lot in soups and stews, so I don't care if it's left a little bit chunky. And as you can see here, I have a canning jar with just a regular lid that they sell. These are really hard to find right now too. Or you can just use a jar and recycle it. This is some marinated artichoke hearts that I had used, and I saved the jar. So I'm just going to add this basil to what I already have. Top off my jars. I've got a lot more in the dehydrator, but just for sake of time, I was just going to show you. And then I actually, in here, I purchased these oxidizers, and you actually can get these on Amazon. I think I got 100 of them for like $15. And all you do is stick an oxidizer in there, and that will keep all the moisture out of your herbs. And this actually, you can leave this on your shelf in your pantry for up to 2 years with just the oxidizer in it. You also can use vacuum seal bags, stick an oxidizer in, and throw them in your freezer. But I like this idea because it uses jars that I would normally throw away or recycle. And I can open it and use a little bit and then close it back up. That was real important to me. If you use a food saver bag, then you have to reseal it again. If you can it or freeze it, then you've got to try to get some out while it's frozen and then add back more. So this has worked really well for me. So I'm just gonna put the rest of this basil in here. I gotta watch behind me. I have a new little standard poodle and he is chewing my refrigerator right now. This is Charlie and he just came to live with us on Thursday. So he is a standard poodle and he is 8 weeks old. So you might see him in some more of my videos because I'm sure he'll be around and I can't take my eye off him really. So, okay. So we're just gonna put the rest of that in there and we close it up and put it in the pantry. And like I said, almost any herbs in your garden, you dehydrate exactly the same way. So that is dehydrating herbs, and who knows what's going to be next. See y'all later.